The number one secret for anybody to have long-term success in real estate, you have to be...
Hey, this is Blake Sloan. I've been selling real estate over 14 years. Our team of highly trained professionals, along with our unmatched marketing, has sold thousands of homes here in the Myrtle Beach area, and this is how we do it.
4 disciplines of execution in real estate. The 4 disciplines of execution in real estate. If I looked and say, what are the biggest problems we have? What are the biggest problems I see anyone has, not just here, but just in the business as a whole, right? Training agents as a whole, industry, or even right here in our office, I find the same main things, right? And this is what people struggle with the most, and then how do they combat that or build systems around that, right? If you look at the number one most important discipline of execution, what do you think it is? Number one, most important discipline you can have in real estate is the discipline of time. What do you think that means? The number one killer in real estate is freedom. I see this over and over and over and over about what happens, right? They come in, they have a great plan, they want to do good, and this happens every day, right? They come in, they want to crush it, but what happens is that openness of time ends up doing what? You end up crushing them, right? There's the emptiness, the openness, and all these things that have to do with time is what brings people down because they can't continue to fill that space, and what do? They contract and go home, right? That's why you see the office to be a ghost town at 2:30, 3 o'clock, right? Consistently. And so it's important to do. And the 4 main pieces of this, right? This is what makes or breaks anybody in real estate, how they manage their time. And for me, it's the hardest thing to teach because I've been doing it a certain way for so long. It's hard for me to understand. But here's the thing. Most of you think you're really good at time right now, at time management, but you suck at it. Very, very bad, right? You think you're super busy, but in essence, you're just busy, you're not productive. And so there's a difference between noise and action and actual result on the back end. And so there has to be an obsession with my time to every second of every day at all times. And so the 4 main pieces of time is, and really you guys need to be tracking every minute for a while so you can get a good rhythm. But the most important part, the first part, time, the discipline, it must be planned. I have to have a very, very specific outcome of exactly what I got to get done each and every day before I come in that day. Why is that? Because by the time I get here and by the time I roll in and by the time I do, the general stuff, I have been hit with 50 different things, problems, emails, challenges, everything. It's got to be planned. It's got to be scheduled. It seems super simple, but it's very hard. It's been very hard for me over the years. I've noticed that I can plan things out, have it on my to-do list, but if I don't take the time and have that discipline, right, the discipline inside to take it and actually put it into a specific time in my calendar, guess what happens? It doesn't get done. I become addicted or I become into a reactionary place where I have to deal with reactionary items, and so the things I get scheduled, right, or if I don't take, and this happens to me even today. Like there's times if I don't go through and push through and have the discipline to actually put it in my calendar, it's on my list, but guess what happens? It doesn't get done. Because other things take priority that I allow take priority over my calendar, right? Because winners already planned their day out. They're already on fire. They're ready to go, and everything's already in alignment. But most people just tend to react to life. And so that's the difference there of having a plan, what my target is, what my goal is, which is why we have the weekly goals, which we all turn in on Friday to help us reverse engineer what needs to be done each day. And then we take that, pull the piece of that up, and make sure I'm able to pull that and obviously pick my daily task, my daily win. Okay, and this weekly ties into my monthly, or my quarterly, my 90-day goals, right? That's very, very important. Now, number 3, this is the third part, very important here. It's got to be honest. I've got to be 100% honest with myself. I noticed this is the number one killer. Happened last week to multiple people. You've got to be 100% honest with yourself. The number one killer, we talked about this, is SFL. You can't lie to yourself about it. The easiest thing to lie to yourself about is your use of time, because it feels different than it actually is many times. So if I spend all day reacting, right, or doing certain things, or even scrolling Facebook or whatever else, it feels like I had a lot, but I got to be 100% honest with myself in my ownership of my use of time. The only way to do that really is to track it. We used to have our brand new employees a long time ago. We gave them a spreadsheet that had every 30-minute blocks, and we had them track what they did. And didn't realize that they weren't doing a whole lot they thought they were doing. And so my point here is I've got to be obsessed with this is the main foundational skill set you can have, or that discipline of execution in any type of sales success business. Why? Because you're on your own. And if I'm not able to be 100% honest with myself, I'm not going to be able to get to the next level where I need to be so I can maximize my time to make 6 figures or more. Once I'm honest about it, I have to be accountable to my time. I have to be willing to 100% hold myself accountable to that time and that block. Meaning I can put in my calendar here and have it planned out, but if I don't actually do it and follow through with it, no matter how much chaos, no matter how much other things are going on, I'm not actually holding myself accountable to it. And that's a muscle, right? It's a muscle you build by doing it over and over and over. And here's the thing. A lot of times it's not going to be just you that's trying to get you off track. What else do you have? Other people. Right? And it comes down to the breakdown of, do you actually own your calendar? Do other people own your calendar for you? And so I got to be militant about how I operate to make sure I'm holding myself accountable. But more importantly, I got to be willing to fight for my calendar. And when I say fight for it, I mean you got to stand up against it to, one, know where things are. I don't double book shit. I'm aware of what's going on. I can feel where I'm at. And no matter what happens, I'm going to stick to whatever that is in there. Every single one I have on my calendar is like a meeting with the president. If it's important enough to be my calendar, it's important enough for me to keep it. Period. And so all of these come down to this word right here. Or 2 words, I'll give 2. The DX. The discipline of execution, right? Which is why this whole thing is built on that foundation, which is why I spend a lot of time figuring out what are the weaknesses, how do we build around that, and where's the biggest points of leverage for everyone, okay? It's not necessarily about weaknesses. It's like, where's the lowest hanging fruit I can create for you all, and if you're going to be here, working, be in the same time frame. Second thing here, which is important, of the second discipline of execution, is my discipline of energy. Multiple pieces of this, right? So it all has to do with how I show up. You notice this in the huddle, right? You notice people roll in. What do? Talk about your positive from yesterday. And what do people do? Oh man, you know, I survived yesterday, but I had this bad happen, this bad thing happened, this thing happened, and you know, well, I think I might do $100, right? And so if I'm doing that, what's that like from a charisma standpoint? Are people going to want to follow you? Are clients going to want to follow you? No, and so the part of why this is a discipline of execution, it's got to be purposeful. So what's that mean? I could not want to be at work and not want to be here. What do you got to do? You got to find a way to turn that shit on, right? Find a way to amp that up, because why? I need clients, buyers, sellers, people to want to work with me, and they're not going to want to work with you if you don't have energy that they want to follow, period. And so the first piece of that puzzle, number 1, is intensity. I have to have intensity in my energy. Why? Energetically, if you're not going anywhere, no one wants to go with you. So if I'm just rolling in like a tumbleweed on a Monday or Tuesday, and I go through and I have no energy, right? Which this energy comes from what? Protect my time, all the way down to going to bed at night. Understanding that when I'm able to do that, right? And so the first part here is intensity. I have to bring intensity to the game. All day, every day. Why? Because they're going to feel my energy more than anything. In how I walk into the room, in how I get on the phone call with them, in how we have a conversation, or how we have a collision. Everything comes down to my intensity of energy. And the more intense my energy is, right, as long as I'm connected, we're able to have a lot more influence. Why? Because I want to outweigh that, and my intensity and energy is going to be more than theirs. Number 2, second part, I have to be purposeful about this. I talked about this a minute ago. Meaning that I create this out of myself even when I don't feel like it. Period. Some of you worry about, well, I don't have any sales. Why does somebody have more sales than me? Because I'm not personal. My energy is low, and so is my conversion. And so I've got to find a way to create that even if I'm introverted or not. Very, very important there. Right? The third part, it must be contagious. Must be contagious. What do you think that means? They're just going to, hey, look, I know this guy or this girl is very excited about something. I want to be part of it. Whatever they got seems pretty cool because they're excited about it. But I can watch some of you again, and think about it, would you follow you? Would you follow you? That's the key part to look at, energetically. 70% of the room, no. Right? You got to make sure that you're able to create this so that, hey, look, my attractive character is to a point where my energy is contagious, and I got to create that no matter what happens. The absolute best salespeople turn it on when they need to. You have to get into character in a way that's a person inside of you that you have that you got to be able to deliver what they want. I don't want a salesperson that helps me that doesn't have these three things here, and really I need somebody that's contagious with energy. Why? Because if that part's there, I'm not really worried about the message as much as the messenger. We talked about this last week. That's why I'm building on this. We talked perfectly. The difference is the messenger, not necessarily the message. This is what separates you here, are these three things. About to be the fourth one in a second. You guys with me on this? The fourth part here, I have to be tenacious. I have to have tenacity. What do you think that means? The number one secret for anybody to have long-term success in real estate, you have to be tenacious. Have to have tenacity. Meaning that things happen to me. Is it going to happen in real estate where some shit goes sideways? Yes. Are you have some crazy people you deal with? Yes. Right? Are you got people who lie to themselves and lie to you and expect you to have a different outcome? Yes. All day, every day. And if I allow those things to affect me and my tenacity is not strong, what happens to my energy? Goes down. What happens to my conversion? My energy's down. Goes down. What happens to my income when those things are down? All of them. And so it builds upon my ability to be able to move past when shit happens to me that's not good. Meaning that I compartmentalize, I take that piece, I put that away, and guess what I do? I get back to work and back to war every single time. Right? This part is going to allow me to have energy through all four of these.